Hi there, and welcome to the Y Factor podcast.
Wait, sorry, what are we talking about?
The Y Factor podcast. It's where young elected politicians, or YEPs, share how they're making real changes across Europe.
Alright, I'm in. Let's hear what the future sounds like.
Welcome to YEPs on the Ground, the podcast that brings young voices to the heart of Europe. Today we're super excited to have Edoardo Casotti with us. He is a young elected politician from Quarna Sopra, a beautiful town up northern Italy. At the EU level, Edoardo works with the Renew Europe group at the European Committee of the Regions, bringing local perspectives into the EU space. Eduardo, it's great to have you here with us.
My pleasure, and thanks again for this invitation. So yes,
We're
let's go. Let's start
very
it.
happy. So before we get into the deep stuff, we always like to kick off with a couple of icebreaker questions, just to get to know a little bit better. What's a quote or a mantra or a motto that keeps you grounded in politics or just in life in general?
Let's say that when it comes to my, let's say, personal beliefs, I really think that a quote that is quite effective is think globally but then act locally.
Amazing.
I think this is really inspiring for me. And I really think about constructing like a building, for example. You always need to start from the foundation, from its foundation. And this works when you build some buildings, of course, but also for societies, for communities. And then the core of societies, the core of communities, there should be values. And I got inspired by the values which are commonly known as the European values, which are in the end universal values like freedoms, like all the freedoms, but also human rights, the respect for human rights, the importance of democracy, the importance of the rule of law as well. And these values are not just on paper, something on paper, but they should be implemented from the first layer of our society, so at the local level. But they are like some concepts which come from a more global, universal perspective. So this is how I interpret this quote, and I really believe that like a change could be impactful and sustainable on a global level, just if its foundations are strong enough to be effective later. So yeah, that's
amazing. I love that. Can you repeat the quote, please?
Think globally, act locally.
We should have it in our bio on Instagram. You should copyright it or something.
No, but that's
amazing.
not mine. That's from, I guess, from sustainability, like environmentalists, I guess.
Good to know.
So,
we will
sorry.
look into that. And when was the moment you first really felt European, like not just on paper, but for real in your life?
This is a tricky question. I think I associate my feeling of being European to the importance of freedom. So I feel like when I understood the importance of freedom, my own freedom, but also the freedom of others to express themselves, so that's when I started to feel truly European. So it's, I would say like this. And then on a more concrete basis, this is a bit, abstract, but then I went through different experiences, like academic experiences abroad, but also some professional experiences abroad as well. Across Europe, I traveled a lot across Europe, also thanks to my parents.
Amazing, always shout out to the parents.
Since I was a kid. And at the same time, being European, it's, I think this is the way you should I nurture this kind of feeling. And so this is how I developed my feeling of being European.
Amazing, something that we should not take for granted. Okay, so now let's get more into it. So you're active both on local and European level. And could you walk us through your role as a young politician back home and how that connects with what you do here at the European Committee of the Regions?
Yeah. So let's say that I've been deputy mayor of my town since 2019 at this point.
Amazing.
And I was the most voted in both electoral terms. And why is it the case? I guess on one side it's because I've been always like committed like socially in my town, but at the same time because I kind of what I've just said, I try to translate it into like a local action, you know, so trying to give a vision based on these values, which I truly believe in, and like genuinely, we live, just a bit of context, we live in trying to promote the cooperation between the two souls of our community, because yes, I'm the deputy mayor of one town, but then I live in another one. And it's Quarna Sopra and Quarna Sotto, so it's
Amazing.
a bit funny. This is interesting, I would say.
Which is for our non-Italian speakers, Quarna up and
Upper,
down.
yes, and the one below. So yes,
Exactly.
we are on the top of the same mountain, but in two different sides of it. And I try to promote sort of cohesion, cooperation between, or improving at least the relationships between these two souls of the same community. That's what I like to say, because I feel like we are just one community. So it's, I always talk about reconciliation to a certain extent, just because I'm passionate about the Western Balkans. So yeah, that's
And
a bit
cohesion
funny.
is a word that we love here at the European Committee
Yes,
of the Regions.
yes, it's
So
very effective.
That's great.
And yeah, so I think this is the background. But then when it comes to concrete actions, I mostly focus on the budget, on the digitization especially. But youth empowerment is my main interest. And we established, for example, the first youth council of our towns, and especially it's intermunicipal. So we put together Quarna Sotto and Quarna Sopra through our youth
council.
Yes, exactly.
And indeed, I wanted to ask you about a project that you worked on that really made a difference in your community. And I might understand that this is one of those, something that made you go, okay, this is what I do, why I do this.
Yeah.
So, okay. Any other projects you want to talk us about?
Let's say that we have been let's say using next generation EU funds over these, let's say, years. Of course, we have implemented like projects in the digitization field, for example, to make the work of the municipality more efficient, and we are still working on trying to make it easier for our citizens to access public services online without the need to go to the municipality, and maybe it could be annoying sometimes.
Queuing, for sure.
No, not queuing, because there are not so many people.
Oh,
but still,
okay.
but still, you have opening times, etc. And then we renovated a lot of buildings, many buildings, and we gave them back to the community. But the main projects which I'm more proud of are, of course, the ones which impact the community. So, for example, the youth council. So, yeah.
Super amazing. Now, let's talk about something that comes up a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. Young people and politics. So it's no secret that youth turnout in election is often lower, and a lot of us feel maybe disconnected from traditional politics, even though we care deeply. And I think you are an example of this. We really care about issues like climate, justice, the future of work, and so much more. So from your perspective, is that young people just simply don't care, or is it more about also the system not really working for or with them? What do you think?
It's very bad to say that the young people don't care about politics or being socially active, to put their, let's say, energy at service of community. Rather, I believe that it's important to give them the right tools, the right platforms to express themselves. So just to give you the example of the Youth Council, because it's really, I'm proud of it, because it really worked. We started in 22 when we established it between the two municipalities, and 80% of our youth citizens decided to become part of this project.
Amazing.
So,
That's a
and
great
this
number.
percentage remains stable over these 3 years. And they promoted a lot of initiatives, sometimes also open to public, promoting also intergenerational dialogue, for example, or green-oriented initiatives, let's say, or just supporting other CSO, civil society organizations active at the local level, other activities which are from the youth to the youth, for example, summer camps. So they were very active, and they and most of them, after they turned the legal age, because we are focused on people from 14 to 17 years old,
Okay.
most of them just kept being socially involved in other CSOs. So they felt empowered enough to keep working in the community for the community. So I mean, this is something, and it means that the youth are interested in giving their contribution, but it's important to guide them for sure, but in an authentic way, I would say. It's like you give them the right tools, you guide them throughout these tools, you hear from them, you trust them authentically, genuinely, and you provide the way for their creative, let's say, power and enthusiasm to be channeled in a way to turn these power that they have, and they are the most, the ones that they own this the most, because of course they are the youth are the ones, the most creative ones, to turn this creativity and enthusiasm into actions. So
I really
this is
feel FOMO right now, and I want to be 16 again and be in Quarna Sopra and participate in this amazing experience. But it's wonderful, really. Now, passing on another question, what do you think the EU or local governments could do actually to make space for young people in decision making? We briefly already talked about it, like beyond just like ticking the youth engagement box. Okay, we engage them, but like what concretely could be done?
As I say, really insist on the participation of the youth. It's like identifying what are the interests of the youth and trust what they are saying. Just simple as that. I would say this is the starting point. And besides, of course, providing them the platforms and all the what we have just said, having the feeling that their social role is acknowledged, and once their social, when the people, the community acknowledges the social role of the youth, and at the same time the youth in turn realizes what's their social role, and they are let free to express their point, where they want to go. I mean, the point is that sometimes I have the feeling that the youth people are overloaded with expectations and with so many problems that we are always talking about, but we never talk about what is positive. And I feel like that if we really commit to provide them the right ways to how can I say, that's becoming tough, because I have it quite clear. Then when you have to translate,
but
it's
I feel like it's an emotional topic, because you're very engaged in it.
I really think it's true. You need to involve them in a way that they have acknowledged their social role, and then you need to let them free to understand, to stop by and think about where they want to go, instead of overloading them with expectations. So this is the point. But because that's what I wanted to say. I missed it. I feel like sometimes youth people are overloaded, and they are just asked to run, but they don't realize where they are asked to run, and they just run without knowing where to. So this is something we should more like acknowledge, in my opinion.
Indeed, very interesting point. Speaking of support, how do you feel about the current funding from European Union, for example, for youth initiative? I'm talking Erasmus Plus, European Solidarity Corps, but also local youth project you spoke about, the ones in your city. So do you think the resources match the actual needs and expectation out there? Or if not, what would you change?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. Actually, another point of inspiration for me is that when I was like a teen, let's say, I was not exposed, unfortunately, to the plenty of opportunities that the European Union offer to the youth. I mean, growing up in a rural area probably doesn't help on this side. And once I went abroad and I did my experiences, I realized how many possibilities, how many opportunities are out there, and most of the time there is just a lack of exposure to these opportunities. And so what we are trying to do now, even at the local level, is trying to communicate more which are the opportunities which are like reserved to the youth people. And for example, we try to send a letter, we actually send a letter to our citizens who turn 18 to present, for example, the Discover You initiative, for example,
yes.
And to present what they could do now that they are like, they've turned the legal age. But even like in the process through the Youth Council, now we got in touch with our Europe desk, the local Europe desk that we have province-wide, to try to understand whether we can promote the initiatives that they get the funds to, in order to provide these opportunities also to our youth citizens. And while I'm talking now, just a couple of weeks ago, we managed to send a couple of our youth citizens to Bosnia and Herzegovina in a study trip to Srebrenica, because it's the 30th anniversary of the genocide of Srebrenica. And actually, they went there. They had this experience, which was amazing, and it was funded by half by the European Union, and we took care of paying to fund the other 0.5%. Which was not covered by the European Union, so it's like a blending financing to a certain extent.
Yes.
And yes, they did these amazing experiences. I got their feedback and they were amazed by this experience. They want to do more of this, and hopefully they will manage to go abroad again, with, of course, the purpose of it's also a way of promoting social development, I guess. Because then you go away, and then when you come back home, you import your energy, the experience, what you have felt, emotions, experience, knowledge, skills, the people that you've met during the study trip as well. So I think it's just a way of connecting all the people, and that's uniting diversity, which is what we are here for.
It's so inspirational. I kind of want to be a new citizen now. All right, so now wrapping up with something more personal. Let's say someone is listening right now who wants to get involved in politics, maybe at school, maybe locally, or even at the EU level, but they're feeling kind of shut out or discouraged. What would you say to them? What's one small first step they can take to get started, and how can they stay motivated even when this space feels very hard? I think you might have experience to access, or a bit overwhelming. What would you say to them?
Personal questions are always the most difficult, I would say, because sometimes it's easy to look at the others and see what you can do, but then when it comes to ourselves, it's a bit more tricky. But anyway, I don't have so much experience to be, let's say, to be able to probably give some concrete recommendation or suggestion, but in my experience, at least what helped me, what was really motivating for me, is like the willingness to put myself out there, just give it a shot, and then let's see how it goes. Because of course, if you don't do anything, you will not make mistakes. But if you don't make mistakes, then it's probably because you did nothing. But so mistake is part of it should be considered as part of the process. And then it's also, in my experience, was really important to find people with the same kind of social commitment, authentic social commitment. not necessarily like-minded people, because there should be anyway a dialogue. This is the core of democracy, I guess. And so finding people that you can share your experience, your social, public, political experience, whatever, with, sharing the same values, the same willingness to cooperate for the community. This kind of chosen family, I would say. And also, I think it's very important to remember where your starting point and then your results. So what was your journey? What happened in between? Because sometimes we're just too focused on doing that we missed the process and we forgot where we started from. And one last point I would say is that it's important to keep nurturing our interests, our skills, like professional skills, whatever kind of skill, not just political ones, because in the end, we probably in this specific period, I guess, for the time being, it's very important to do this exercise, because we need to gather personal experience, individual experience, that we can then turn into let's say, into something that we can spread afterwards as local politicians, or a politician maybe later in time, who knows, and then you can improve really the quality of politics in this way, with your own personal experience and your own personal beliefs.
Amazing. I already feel inspired to actually put myself out there in
great.
local politics, and I hope our listeners got inspired as well. Edoardo, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your experience and insights. I think it's been such a solid conversation. And to all of you listening, thank you for hanging out with us today. If you want to learn more about Edoardo's work or check out the projects we talked about, you'll find links in the episode descriptions. Make sure to follow us on Instagram for more behind the scenes and updates from young leaders across Europe. And make sure to catch our next episode to discover who will be joining us, both as a next guest